I'm going to share what I got from two previous conversations that I've had on the show. I'm going to tell you about my worry about turning 50 and AI, and I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about the importance of using your voice and why relationship building and communication skills are probably incredibly more crucial to your business than you can imagine. Stay tuned.
You're listening to The Brand Compass, conversations to navigate your way to building a brand fit for purpose and poised for success. Here's your host, Shelley, Rostlund.
Hello there, my friend, and thank you for joining me today. Hopefully, you come to know that this is the place where we gently and openly talk about all the ways in which your personal brand meets the humans you serve. This is one of my reflection episodes, so I'm going to look back on the conversations that I've had with Penny Hopkinson, one of my oldest standing business friends from when I first went self-employed in 2007 as a franchise consultant, and then a newer friend, Izabela Russell, a podcast and audio specialist who I met back in 2016. Now, if you haven't listened to these in full yet, maybe what I share with you today in terms of what I got out of these two conversations might actually encourage you to go back and do that and maybe listen to the others as well. There are now 10 other conversations in this series for you to go back and listen to, and they're all focused professionals in their fields, and I've chosen them specifically to give you some inspiration and light that will give you some permission to shape a version of yourself that you're happy to share with the outside world. Okay, so let's get back to what I wanted to share with you today. So from my conversations with both Penny and Izabela, there are three overriding themes that I felt came through. And those were relationship building and communication skills, number one. Number two, if you have a voice, use it. And number three, the opportunity that artificial intelligence represents. Now, I hope that's piqued your interest to stick with me a little bit longer as I get through this episode with you. All right, are you ready? Okay, let's get to it. My first reflection is on this theme of relationship building and communication skills. Both Penny and Izabela talked about this in their conversations with me and how they saw them as instrumental to how they'd gotten as far as they had in their respective careers and also in building businesses. Penny's career has spanned at least 6 decades, and she was adamant that the way she chose to treat and interact with people all throughout her working and personal life has been at the heart of how she has retained her reputation and relationships across decades and continents. It was lovely when she shared that actually it was her father who really taught her what the true meaning was of personal brand and reputation. She learned at a very early age to ask questions, be curious, actively listen, and to treat people equally, regardless of their status or station in life. To this day, I would definitely say that those are still some of her stronger skills, and it has served her well through her 10 years as a journalist and in more recent decades as an operations manual specialist. With Izabela, she says that she learned very early on in her first career in banking about how important it was to look after people. She shared how she's kept the core principles of good customer service at the heart of her work in building her full-service audio and professional voiceover agency, Music Radio Creative. She zeroed in how she focuses on the experience that people have in working with her and her team. She wants to sleep easier at night, knowing that she's actually provided a solution for a client that actually solves whatever their issue or their want is. Even though her business deals with personal brands and business brands, varying from Fortune 500 companies to solo operating entrepreneurs, her and her team always focus on the person-to-person relationships. I felt that, and I appreciate the relationship I have with my MRC team who work on the audio editing of my podcast show. In fact, it's Izabela's husband, Mike, whose voice you hear in my jingles. My next reflection is around the fact that your point of view matters. Your voice is important, so use it. Now, while this wasn't necessarily a direct topic that we actually got into in our conversations, it was something that actually came up for me in listening back to both of the episodes. With Penny, I feel like this was one point she was getting to when she was sharing some of her stories with us. One story was when she worked as a socioeconomic journalist in the 1980s, back in what was then the emerging Arab states. Her approach and way of fostering trust with people she wanted to have an interview with was actually key to her managing to actually get the right story and to build a reputation that was trusted by members of the ruling families. She calmly stuck to what she knew to be the right way to be respectful, especially in a foreign culture. She stood out in terms of what was going on at the time, because there was an all-time low kind of fear of female journalists at the time because of a specific bad incident that had happened where trust had been broken and had exposed a very private Arab culture. With Izabela, while she's always had this sense of a strong sense of self, of who she is and what she has an opinion about. She's the first one to say to you she has an opinion about everything. She's spending a lot more time nowadays, though, coming forward to stand on stages and to lead in business conversations to give her voice a platform. I think with both ladies, they are pretty steadfast in how they want to be seen and experienced, and they believe in their point of view and make that clear every chance that they get. In the world we live in today, we could do with more people using their voice to share their opinions and views so that we can have better conversations and not ones that are purely driven by algorithms or mainstream media who I feel like have an agenda in driving a view or opinion that spurs clicks and eyeballs, instead of a deeper understanding or empathy in solving our societal aches right now. My last and final reflection for these two conversations is around how both of these ladies have embraced the opportunities they see in the advent and advance of artificial intelligence. Penny's example is a direct one. She's built an AI tool called Manual Magic AI, which is basically using her 3-part manual writing method, and it works with you as the user to pull the information together and build your interactive operational manual with you and for you. She's highly excited with how AI can help humans to be better, more productive, and also get to do some of the heavy lifting of putting workable standard operating procedures or SOPs together. She also feels like it can help to design how businesses and their teams can actually use and interact with their SOPs in making things easier to digest and delivered in more short bite-sized learning, which fits with how Gen Zers like to consume information. It inspires me that Penny, who's in her 70s, is excited about the next evolution of her work and not daunted or worried about the technology diminishing humans or their strengths. Izabela, similarly, has embraced what AI can bring to her business. She shared that she's also gotten quite a bit of hate from people within her industry for actually embracing AI. But she feels like it would be counterproductive to ignore how AI is changing her field. For her, there has definitely been a reduction in human talent, but then this is what she predicted back when we first talked on my show in May 2024, when we were talking about the artificial intelligence butterfly effect. You can go back and listen to that if you like. We've all heard and experienced how AI voices have filtered into our screens and our speakers. Izabela has decided to develop offerings where her clients can choose from a variety of AI voices, but she also still retains the high-quality human talent that clients still want. At the end of the day, she has created a buffet offering that includes cool, fun AI voices, but also provides the highly talented human voices of her professional actors, musicians, and producers for those clients who have better budgets and prefer human talent. Somehow she has managed to serve both ends of the market, which is admirable. So for me, what am I going to do as a result of the conversations I've had with Penny and Izabela? To be honest, I turned 50 not so long ago, and for the first time in my life, hitting a milestone birthday has actually tipped my equilibrium. Normally, I'm pretty nonchalant about getting older, but this one has really scuppered me. I'm jealous of up-and-coming generations who have all of these tools available to them, which I would have killed for 20 years ago when I first went self-employed. I struggled so much in being able to execute my ideas that it almost broke me. On one hand, I'm pleased our world has advanced, so less people will have to feel their pain. On the other, there was learning in the pain for me, for sure. Also, what I'm grateful for is that I feel like I don't get swept up in the malarkey of new fandangled tools and apps, because I've seen so many come and go now that I can almost see what won't work and what's a distraction. So for that, I'm grateful and less so jealous. With Izabela just hitting her 40s and Penny her 70s, I think what I've gained most is that, or figured out, is that we're all really on our own journey, and there's no defining length of time or limit that we have to be thinking about. Communication and relationships has always been a very big part for me, and it's why I've never worked in a space which demands volumes of clients. I like working on with clients or with small groups of people, and that way I get to know them individually, and I can still stay tapped into what they need or how I can support them or develop them over the long term. And that works for me. I have business relationships like Penny and Izabela that are coming on to decades and decades more now. And that's nothing to sneeze at. So I'm going to pat myself on the back for prioritizing keeping those relationships going. With the AI discussion, I'm fighting a whole bit about AI at the moment, but it's only because what many people are using it for is the kind of work I relish and love doing, the creative thinking, idea generation, strategic thinking, which is a tangle for me to solve, I know. However, inside my business, we are training our own GPTs and we're giving them names to humanize them a bit more. The way we are looking at them is more of an extension to our worker bee team that help out with our human jobs and release us from the humdrum that takes too long and is not perhaps the work that we enjoy doing. I don't have any inclination to develop a tool like Penny has. That is definitely not my forte. But there's a bit to what Izabela was saying that has struck a chord with me, and I am going to stew on it a little bit more with Imogen, my human rainbow work buddy. I can be more open to embracing AI, and I'm going to try harder. And that's it for this episode, folks. If you haven't listened to Penny's episode, which is episode 76, and Izabela's, which is 77, then I hope this episode will have encouraged you to go back and check them out, as well as all the others that are there for you to enjoy. I'd love to know what you learn about yourselves from these conversations I'm having with people who are out there forging away in their professional worlds and trying to bring more of themselves into their everyday. If you'd like to talk to me about working together on your personal brand strategy to make sure you are more visible and your voice is recognized and heard by the people who need and want the genius talents you have, then let's have a relaxed conversation about it, and my details are all in the show notes for you. Here's a quick reminder to support the show by doing one of three things. Click the follow or subscribe button in the app you're listening to right now, giving the show a review if you've loved a particular episode, and let me know that way. Tell a friend, nice and simple. Tell one new friend about the show. Everything helps to open up the show to a more diverse listenership and bring more people into the conversation of trying to be more of yourself more of the time. Who do you know who could do with listening to this episode and knowing about the series that I'm doing? Share this episode. You know you want to. Until next time, my friend, stay strong, believe you have value, and make good brand decisions.
Thank you for listening to The Brand Compass. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with your entrepreneurial friends and help them make good brand decisions. Until next time, let's keep the conversation going at 𝗘𝗣𝗜𝗦𝗢𝗘𝗟𝗟.